Why are you with this dirty girl when you're so important?
Once upon a time in the heart of Lagos, there lived a man named Chuka and Williams. He was one of the richest men in Nigeria. People said he could buy anything: cars, houses, even islands. His mansion was like a palace with tall white pillars, a sparkling fountain in front, and guards at every corner. Inside the compound, everything was clean, shiny, and quiet. Too quiet. Alex loved order. He liked things to be perfect, always in control. He didn't like noise, dirt, or surprises. He especially didn't like strangers coming near his daughter. That Thursday evening, he drove home himself. His driver had taken the day off, and Alex didn't mind. Sometimes when he was alone in the car, he liked to think. That evening, he had a lot on his mind. One of his biggest deals was falling apart. A foreign investor had backed out at the last minute, and Alex had shouted at nearly everyone in his office. As he approached his estate, the heavy black gate opened slowly, and his car rolled in. He looked around, expecting to see the same peaceful garden, the same quiet air, the same silence. But what he saw stopped him cold. Right there, on the clean tiles near the flower bed, sat his 7-year-old daughter, Pamela. She was cross-legged on the ground holding a pencil and an old torn book. Next to her was another girl. This one didn't belong. She wore brown, torn clothes. Her feet were dirty. Her hair looked like it hadn't been combed in weeks. Her face was smudged with dust. Alex's eyes narrowed. He stepped out of his car slowly. He didn't say a word at first. He just watched. The homeless girl pointed at the paper and said, "4 times 3 is 12. You remember that, right?" Pamela nodded with a big smile. "Yes, you said the number 4 should walk 3 times. I remember." The girl laughed. "Exactly. That's how you remember multiplication. Make it fun." Our heart pounded in his chest. He couldn't take it anymore. "What is this madness?" he shouted. Both girls jumped. Pamela looked up. "Daddy." The homeless girl quickly stood up. She held the torn book close to her chest and took a step back. Alex's voice rose. "Who are you? Who let you into my house? Where are the security men?" He turned to the guards running toward him. Pamela grabbed his arm. "Daddy, please don't shout at her." Alex looked at his daughter in shock. "Don't shout. This stranger is inside our home playing with you like your street children." "She's not bad," Pamela said softly. "She teaches me math. Better than the teacher you paid for." Alex looked down at the homeless girl again. She didn't speak. She didn't run. She just looked back at him with quiet eyes. There was no fear in her eyes, but something else, something deeper, something that shook him for a moment. "Speak." Alex barked at her. "How did you get in here?" She held her voice tight through the back gate. "Sir, the guards let me in. I come only when Pamela is alone." "You what?" O looked around in disbelief. "You sneak into my home. Do you think this is a playground? I only come to help her learn." "That's all," the girl said gently. "She's very smart." "Daddy," Pamela added quickly, "she teaches me slowly, not like the other teachers who shout at me." Alex looked at his daughter. Her eyes were big and honest. She wasn't lying. He turned back to the girl. "How old are you?" 10. "What's your name?" The girl hesitated. "My name is Zara." Alex stepped closer. "And who are your parents, Zora?" She looked down. "My mother is gone. She died 2 years ago. I don't know my father." Something inside Alex's chest moved slightly, but he forced his face to stay hard. He pointed to the guards. "I want her out now, and if she ever comes back." "Daddy, no," Pamela shouted, her voice cracking. "She's my friend." "There are rules, Pamela," Alex snapped. "You don't play with strangers, especially not ones who sneak into our house. She's not a bad person." Alex's voice dropped. "She is not like us. She belongs out there, not here." Zara took a deep breath. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to cause trouble." "Go," he said coldly. Now, she didn't argue. She turned and walked toward the gate. The guards opened it. She stepped out, still holding the book. Not once did she look back. Pamela ran into the house, tears rolling down her cheeks. Alex stood still. His chest was tight. His palms were sweating. He didn't know why, but something about that girl, something about her eyes, it wouldn't leave his mind. Inside the mansion, Alex walked slowly to his study. He sat on the edge of his leather chair and stared at the wall. He could still hear Zora's voice in his head, the way she had calmly said she didn't know her father, the way she had explained math like a real teacher. How could a homeless girl teach so well? Alex pressed a button on his desk phone. "Get me the head of security now." The voice on the other end replied, "Yes, sir." 5 minutes later, the security chief stood at the door. Alex didn't look at him. "Why did you let that girl into this compound?" The man looked nervous. "Sir, the girl has been coming for weeks, always around 5. Your daughter waits for her, and you allowed this. She said she was tutoring Pamela. We thought she was just one of the new staff." Alex slammed his palm on the desk. "You thought, you didn't ask. You didn't check. I'm sorry, sir. I don't want to ever see her here again. Do you understand me?" "Yes, sir." "Leave." The man walked out quickly. Alex leaned back and closed his eyes, but he didn't feel better. He felt worse. The face of that girl, her eyes, something about her felt familiar. And her name? Zara. He'd never heard it before, but somehow it echoed deep inside his memory. He shook the thought away. At dinner, Pamela didn't eat. She just pushed her food around the plate. Her mother, a marker, noticed. "What's wrong, baby? Don't you like the rice?" Pamela didn't answer. Alex cleared his throat. "She's upset because I sent her friend away." A marker looked surprised. "What friend? A homeless girl? A stranger teaching her outside our gate. She's not just a stranger." Pamela shouted suddenly. "She's my teacher and my best friend." "Pamela," her mother warned, but the girl stood up. "You didn't even ask why she came. You just shouted at her like she was trash." Alex looked at his daughter. "You don't speak to me like that. I won't speak at all then," Pamela muttered and ran upstairs. Amaka looked at her husband. "Alex, who was that girl?" Alex rubbed his forehead. "I don't know. Just a girl from the street, but she won't come back again." Amaka was quiet. "Maybe you should find out who she is. She's no one." "Are you sure?" Alex didn't answer because truthfully, he wasn't sure. That night, he couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. He kept seeing her face, her voice, her eyes, and that strange, sharp feeling in his chest wouldn't go away, like he had seen her somewhere before, or someone like her. And deep down, a part of him was scared to find out the truth. The next morning, the mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Normally, little Pamela would be running around the house in her pink slippers, singing one of her school songs or asking the chef for pancakes. But that morning, she didn't even come down for breakfast. Alex sat at the long dining table, dressed in a fresh suit. The golden chandelier above him sparkled like always, and the white plates were neatly arranged beside the silver cutlery. But none of that mattered to him right now. He looked at the untouched chair across from him. "Cam's chair. She's still upstairs," Amaka said softly as she poured tea into her cup. Alex didn't respond. He slowly stirred his tea without drinking it. "You upset her last night," Amaka added, trying not to sound like she was blaming him. "She'll get over it," Oe muttered. "She's a child, Alex," Amaka replied. "Her heart is soft. I was protecting her," he said, his voice a little sharper now. "That girl had no right to be here. This is not a public school or a community center. It's our home." Amaka looked up. "But did you see how much Pamela loved learning from her?" Alex dropped his spoon on the saucer with a loud clang. "I don't care if she taught her how to build rockets. That girl was a stranger. She sneaked into this house through the back gate, but she didn't steal anything. She didn't harm anyone," a marker pointed out. Alex stood up from the table. "She's not coming back. End of story." He walked out, grabbed his car keys, and headed for the garage. But as Alex drove through the city that morning, his thoughts weren't on the business meeting ahead. They were on that girl again, Zara. The way she had looked at him, calm, respectful, but not afraid. And her voice, it didn't sound like a child who belonged on the streets. It sounded educated, careful, clear. He tried to push the thought out of his mind. He tried to think about numbers, contracts, and profit margins, but his brain kept going back to that girl with dusty cheeks and quiet eyes. At the office, things were tense. The new investors were pulling out of the real estate deal in Abuja, and the team needed Alex to calm them down, but he was distracted. His secretary noticed. "Sir, are you feeling all right?" Alex blinked. "Yes, I'm fine." But he wasn't. He canceled his meetings for the day and went back home early. When he entered the compound, the first thing he did was look toward the garden. No one was there, just silence, wind, a few birds flying past the mango tree. He went inside, expecting to find Pamela watching cartoons or playing with her toys, but the living room was empty. He walked to the backyard quietly. That's when he saw her. There she was again, the same girl sitting on the floor with Pamela. Back in his house again, Alex's heart jumped in his chest. He stood frozen, watching from behind the curtain inside the living room. She was really back. The guards had let her in again. He could hear her voice faintly from the distance. She was teaching Pamela how to spell words now. They were using sticks to write in the sand beside the small flower garden. Important starts with an I, Zara said, drawing the letter slowly. C, not E. Pamela laughed. I always forget. You won't anymore. Just remember, I am important. Oh, Benta frowned. That voice again. So patient, so soft, so full of care. He didn't go out to shout this time. He didn't stop them. He stood there for almost 15 minutes just watching. And the strangest thing happened. He smiled only for a second, but it was there. Later that evening, after dinner, Chuka called his security chief again, the same man from yesterday. The guard stood stiffly by the door. Sir, you let her in again? Obi said, voice low and calm this time. Yes, sir. Even after I said not to, the guard cleared his throat. She begged. She said Pamela needed help with her homework. She said it would be quick. Alex leaned forward in his chair. Do you understand how dangerous this is? She's just a girl, sir. That's what makes it worse, Alex snapped. You don't know who sent her. What if she's being used to spy on us? What if she's part of a scam? She has never done anything wrong. Oena paused. What do you know about her? Only that she comes in peace. She never asks for money. She doesn't eat. She only brings her notebook and leaves quietly. Alex drummed his fingers on the armrest. Find out where she goes when she leaves here. Sir, follow her discreetly. I want to know everything about her. Where she lives, who she talks to, what she does. The guard nodded. Yes, sir. The next afternoon, Alex stayed home on purpose. He didn't tell anyone, not even a marker. He sat upstairs, watching from the window with binoculars. His eyes stayed on the garden. Right on time, the girl returned. Zara. She was wearing the same brown top. Her hair was in rough cornrows, and she carried a plastic bag. Alex watched her walk in through the back gate again. The guards waved at her like she was a friend. He tightened his jaw. She walked up to Pamela, who was already waiting with a chalkboard. They sat side by side on the ground and started writing. Alex watched closely. Her movements were calm and respectful. She never looked around the house or tried to steal a glance inside. She didn't ask for food or water. She came, she taught, she smiled, she left. Just like that. That night, Alex sat in bed holding a glass of water. A marker walked in wearing her nightgown. You're acting strange, she said. He looked up. What do you mean? You barely spoke all day. You've been walking around like your head is not here. Owe didn't answer. You're still thinking about her, aren't you? A marker asked. He said nothing. You know, maybe it's not a bad thing. Alex raised his brow. What's not a bad thing? This girl, Zora, maybe she's meant to be in Camp's life. I don't believe in meant to be, Chuka replied coldly. This isn't a fairy tale. But there's something about her, O.A. I felt it, too. She's not an ordinary street girl. She's not supposed to be here, he said firmly. This is our home, not a charity ground. Amaka walked over to him slowly. You're scared, aren't you? He looked up at her, confused. Scared of what? That she reminds you of something, or someone. Alex's face changed. His hand gripped the glass a little tighter. I don't know what you're talking about, he said quietly. Yes, you do, Amaka replied softly. And one day you'll have to face it. She turned off the lamp and slipped into bed. Alex sat there in the dark, his heart beating louder than before. The next morning, Pamela came to him with a bright smile. She carried the chalkboard and some sweets in her pocket. Daddy, can I invite Zora for lunch today? She asked. Alex looked at her. Lunch? Yes. Please, just one meal. She never eats. She said she hasn't had jollof rice in months. Alex rubbed his forehead. Please, Daddy, I'll think about it. Promise? I said, I'll think about it. Pamela hugged him. Thank you, Daddy. He didn't promise anything. That evening, when Zora returned again, Alex was already watching from inside. He stood behind the curtain just like before. This time, the guard was doing what he was told. As soon as Zora entered, he quietly followed her from a distance. She didn't know he was there. Alex had told the guard to follow her all the way home to her hiding place, to her shelter, wherever she slept at night. Alex needed answers. He needed the full truth, because the more he saw her, the more he heard her voice, the more confused he became. She was not like the others on the street. She was different. And Alex's heart, cold as it had always been, was starting to remember something it had long tried to forget. The evening air was soft and quiet as the sun began to hide behind the tall buildings of Lagos. The streetlights were just beginning to flicker on, and children were slowly leaving the playgrounds. The day was ending, but something important was just about to begin. Alex stood inside his home office, staring at the big window. His arms were crossed over his chest. He had told his head of security, Victor, to follow the girl today, quietly, carefully. He didn't want her to know she was being watched. The same question kept spinning in his mind like a wheel. Who is this girl? Where did she come from? Why does she feel so familiar? His chest was heavy. He was no longer angry. He was something else now. Confused, nervous, and deep down scared. Victor was a strong man, tall and serious. He had worked with Alex for years. He was loyal and good at his job. He had followed dangerous men before, scammers, kidnappers, even people trying to steal from Alex's company. But this time, he was following a little girl, a 10-year-old with torn slippers and a quiet voice. Still, a job was a job. Zara had left the mansion just after sunset. As usual, she didn't ask for anything. She didn't linger. She simply packed her small book and walked out through the back gate. The guards nodded at her like they always did. Victor followed her on foot, wearing a black shirt and cap to blend into the shadows. He kept a safe distance, careful not to make any sound. Zora walked with slow steps, not like someone in a hurry. She passed a row of kiosks, crossed a small footbridge, and headed into a part of the city that Victor recognized, an abandoned area near the old market that had burned down 2 years ago. There were broken walls, scattered debris, and rusty iron rods sticking out of the ground. No one lived there officially. It was the kind of place people avoided, but Zara walked in like it was her home. Victor slowed down. She turned into a narrow path behind an old fence. Then she disappeared behind a tall wall. Victor followed quietly, step by step. And there, in the middle of rubble and silence, he saw it. A little corner, built from scraps, wooden planks, rusty roofing sheets, a nylon curtain covering the front. It wasn't a real house. It was barely even a shed, but that was where she lived. Zara pushed aside the curtain and stepped in. Victor stood hidden behind a cracked wall, peeking carefully. After a few minutes, he crept closer. He didn't want to scare her. He just needed to see more, to understand. Then the wind blew. The curtain lifted slightly and Victor saw something that made his eyes widen. Inside the shed, Zora was sitting on the ground with a small candle burning beside her. In her hands, she held a picture frame. It was old and dirty, but the glass had not broken. Victor squinted. The picture was of a woman with the same eyes as Zora, the same lips, the same calm expression. She looked familiar, very familiar. Victor carefully brought out his phone and took a quiet photo of the picture framed through the gap in the curtain. Then he turned and walked away, heart beating fast. He didn't want to believe what he had just seen. Back at the mansion, Chuka sat on the edge of the sofa, legs tapping the floor. He kept checking the clock. Each minute felt like 10. Finally, Victor walked in. He looked serious, even more than usual. You followed her? Alex asked quickly. Yes, sir. Where does she live? Victor hesitated. Alex stood up. Victor, she lives behind the burnt market. There's an abandoned area there. She stays in a shed made of wood and nylon. Nothing else is around. Alex frowned. She sleeps outside. Yes, sir. Silence filled the room. And Chuka asked, did you see anything else? Victor reached into his pocket and brought out his phone. Yes, sir. I took this. He handed the phone to Alex. Alex looked at the screen. His hands began to shake. His breath stopped for a second. He dropped into the chair like his knees had given way. The woman in the picture, it wasn't just familiar. It was her. Ada. His Ada. The girl he once loved. The girl he left behind. Alex couldn't speak. He stared at the phone like it had slapped him. Victor stood quietly, unsure of what was going on. Sir, he asked. Obi slowly lifted his eyes. They were red now. Where exactly did you say she lives? Victor told him. Alex nodded slowly. You can go. Are you okay, sir? Just go. Victor left the room. Alex sat there, gripping the phone with both hands. The memory hit him like thunder. It was over 10 years ago. Oe had just finished university. He was young, full of big dreams, and hungry for success. That was when he met Ada. She was gentle, smart, and full of life. She wanted to be a teacher. They loved each other deeply. At least that's what it felt like at the time. But when Alex got a chance to travel abroad and build a new life, everything changed. He told Ada he would return. He promised to call, but he never did. He got caught up in work, in money, in the chase for success. Her messages became fewer. Eventually, he blocked her out completely. He told himself she'd be fine, but she wasn't. Now, staring at the picture of her in the hands of a homeless child, Alex felt something crack inside him. What if? No, it couldn't be. But what if it was true? What if that girl was his daughter? He stood up, walked to the window, and stared out into the dark night. Everything he had built, his mansion, his cars, his bank accounts, felt useless in that moment. A little girl was sleeping in a broken shelter, holding on to the picture of a woman he once loved. And that girl might be his. Alex placed the phone on the table. He couldn't think straight. His mind was racing. He needed answers, real answers. But there was only one way to get them. He had to ask her. The next morning, Alex didn't go to work. He waited. He waited for Zora to return to his compound. He told the guards not to stop her. When she arrived, just like always, she smiled at Pamela and pulled out her book. But before they could begin the lesson, Alex stepped outside. Pamela stood up. Daddy. Alex looked at Zora. His eyes were soft now. Not angry, not sharp, just full of something heavy. Can I talk to you? He asked gently. Zora looked surprised. Pamela looked worried. Did she do something wrong again? No, Pamela, Alex said. Just give us a minute. The little girl nodded and walked back inside. Alex sat on the garden bench and motioned for Zora to sit. She came slowly. He took a deep breath. What's your mother's name? He asked. Zora looked at him with curious eyes. Ada? Her name was Ada. Alex's chest tightened. Where was she from? In Lagos. What happened to her? She was sick. She died 2 years ago. Alex looked down at his hands. Did she ever talk about your father? Zora nodded. She said he left when I was still in her stomach. Did she tell you his name? She looked down. No, she only said he promised to come back, but he never did. Alex felt like the world was spinning around him. He wanted to scream, to cry, to hide, but he did none of those. He just looked at her, really looked at her. Same eyes, same cheeks, same calm voice. There was no more doubt. She was his. Alex sat on the garden bench beside the girl who might be his daughter, but his mind was no longer in the garden. He was drifting far, far away from the sound of birds, from the warm morning sun, from the quiet rustle of leaves. His body was in Lagos, but his memory had taken him back 10 years. Back to Enugu, back to her. He had just finished school then, fresh degree, full of fire. Everyone said he was going to be somebody. Alex didn't waste time dreaming small. He wanted money, cars, a big name. But before all that, there was Ada. She worked at a little bookshop not far from the student lodge. The first time he saw her, she was arranging novels in neat rows. She wore a plain blue dress. Her hair was packed in a simple bun. She didn't even see him at first. He just stood at the entrance staring. "Excuse me," she said without looking up. "Do you want something?" He stepped closer, still smiling. "Yes, your number." She looked up, surprised, then rolled her eyes. "You think you're the first one to say that today?" "I hope I'm the last," Alex replied. She laughed. It was small, quiet, but beautiful. That laugh stayed with him for weeks. Soon, he became a regular, buying books he didn't read, asking silly questions just to hear her talk, bringing her snacks, walking her home. Before long, they were a pair. Everyone in the area knew Alex and Ada were in love. They talked about the future all the time. "I want to open a school," Ada said one evening as they sat on a bench under a mango tree. "For children who can't afford education." Alex smiled. "And I want to build towers in every city. Real estate, oil, maybe even my own airline." She laughed again. "You like big things." He reached for her hand. "And you're the biggest thing in my world." It was cheesy, but she smiled anyway. Then one day, things changed. Oe got an offer, a chance to travel abroad with a foreign investor who had visited their school for a seminar. The man liked Chuka's bold ideas. He said he could sponsor him. Business classes, work opportunities, a better life. Alex told Ada immediately. She tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "That's great." He saw the fear in her eyes. "I'll come back," he promised. "We'll be fine." "You sure?" she asked. "You won't forget me." "Never," he said, holding her close. "I'll call every day. I'll send letters. I'll come back and marry you." She nodded slowly. "Okay." But deep inside, she didn't look convinced. And just like that, he left. The plane took him away and life moved faster. He got busy, new city, new faces, new pressure. He forgot to call some days, then some weeks, then some months. Letters from Ada came, but he read them with half a heart. She talked about how much she missed him, how hard life was, how she was feeling weak. Then one day, a letter arrived. It was short, only a few lines. "Oh, Zena, I am with child." I didn't know how to say it. "Please write back. I'm scared. Please don't leave me. Please." He read it twice, then folded it, then left it on the desk. He didn't write back. Something inside him told him it would ruin everything. A child. Now, when he was just starting to rise, he pushed the thought away. More letters came, more begging, then silence. After a while, he told himself she had moved on. He blocked it from his heart. Years passed. He became rich, powerful, married a marker, built everything he wanted. But sometimes late at night, her voice would return. The way she smiled, the way she whispered, "Don't forget me." He did until now. Sir Alex blinked. Zora was still beside him. Her voice brought him back to the present. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. He looked at her. Really looked. "Your mother?" "What was she like?" he asked gently. "She was kind," Zora said. "She taught me things. Even when we had no money, she was always tired, but she tried to smile." Alex swallowed hard. "Did she ever talk about her dreams?" "She wanted to open a school," Zara said. "She told me that a lot. She said poor children deserve to dream too." Alex felt his chest tighten. Zara looked down, but she got sick and there was no money for hospital. She just kept getting weaker. One day, she closed her eyes and didn't wake up. A tear dropped down her cheek. She quickly wiped it. Alex reached into his pocket and handed her a clean white handkerchief. She took it slowly. "Thank you," he cleared his throat. "Do you know when you were born?" She nodded. April 10 years ago. Alex did the math in his head. It fit. Everything fit. This girl was his child. His blood, his guilt, his shame. He stood up, unable to sit anymore. He felt like his chest would explode. "I need to go," he said quietly. Zara stood too. "Did I say something wrong?" "No," he said quickly. "You didn't. You've done nothing wrong." He looked at her one last time before walking into the house. Inside, he went straight to his bedroom, locked the door, dropped to his knees, and cried. For the first time in years, he cried like a child. He covered his face and wept. He wept for Ada. He wept for the years he lost. He wept for the pain he caused. He wept because the truth was too much to carry. A billionaire, a father, a coward. An hour later, a marker knocked on the door. Oba! No answer. She tried the knob. It was locked. Please open the door. He didn't move. Talk to me, she begged. You're scaring me. Slowly, he stood up, wiped his eyes, and opened the door. Amaka stepped in and gasped when she saw his face. His eyes were red. His shirt was wet. What happened? She asked. Alex sat on the edge of the bed and looked at her. I found out who she is, he said. Who? Zara. Amaka blinked. You know her family? Alex nodded slowly. She is my family. What do you mean? She's my daughter, he whispered. My daughter with a marker froze. Ay. He nodded again. A marker covered her mouth with her hand. You told me she was just a friend from the past. She was more than that, he said. She was everything before I left. Silence. Heavy. Painful. A marker sat down beside him. She died, she asked. Yes. He said 2 years ago. Left Zora alone. She's been on the street since then. Amaka looked down. Oh my God. I didn't reply her letters. I ignored her calls. I didn't believe she was really pregnant. I was scared. And now the child I left behind is the one teaching my daughter how to count, he said, while I sit in this big house acting like I'm in control. Amaka didn't speak for a long time. Then she finally said, What are you going to do? Alex looked up, eyes heavy. I don't know, he said honestly, but I have to start by saying sorry. The sun had just begun to rise the next morning, but OA was already awake. He had not slept at all. His eyes were red, his face looked older. He sat quietly on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. The air in the room felt heavy. A marker lay beside him, silent, too. Neither of them had spoken much since the truth came out the night before. There were no more arguments, no shouting, just silence. Alex placed both hands on his knees and sighed. I don't know how to face her, he whispered. A marker opened her eyes slowly. You have to. She doesn't know I'm her father. She just thinks I'm some angry rich man. Then tell her the truth, Amaka said before it's too late. Alex didn't move. His voice was soft. I don't know where to start. Later that morning, Pamela ran into the living room with excitement. Daddy, Daddy, she's here. Alex looked up from the couch. Who? Zara, she's back. She brought more books. She said she's teaching me how to spell bigger words today. Alex stood slowly. His heart began to pound. Daddy. Cam looked at him. Can she eat lunch with us today, please? Alex nodded. She can. Pamela clapped. Yay. She'll stay after the lesson, he said. I want to talk to her. From the window, Alex watched as Zora and Pamela sat under the mango tree again. Zora had drawn a big circle on the sand. She was using small stones to explain how vowels and consonants worked. Alex didn't interrupt. He just stood there and listened. Every word from her mouth reminded him of Ada. The way she explained, the patience in her tone, the calm strength in her voice. He couldn't wait any longer. He walked outside slowly. Zara looked up and saw him. She stood quickly. Pamela smiled. Daddy, come and see. We're learning spellings with stones. Alex nodded. You're doing well, my dear. Can I talk to your friend for a moment? Pamela looked confused again, just for a short time. Zara stood up and followed Alex to the other side of the garden. They sat on a small bench beside the fence. Alex looked straight ahead, trying to find the words. Zara, he said slowly, I want to ask you something important. She looked at him, waiting. Do you remember ever seeing a picture of your father? She shook her head. No, sir. My mother didn't have any photo of him. Did she ever say his name? No, nothing at all. She used to say he left to chase a big life. She never blamed him, though. She said maybe he was scared. Alex's heart broke again. Zara smiled a little. She always said one day he might come back, and if he doesn't, you'll still be strong on your own. Alex nodded slowly. What is it, sir? Zara asked. Why are you asking all this? Alex sighed. Because I think I might be that man. Her smile disappeared. What? I knew your mother a long time ago. He said, we were very close before I left for abroad. She told me she was pregnant, but I didn't reply. I was scared. I thought I could ignore it and move on with my life. Zara looked away, her eyes filling with tears. I didn't know what happened after that, he continued. I thought maybe she moved on. Maybe it wasn't true. But now, seeing you, everything she said in those letters is coming back. Zara stood up slowly. Her voice shook. You think you're my father? O nodded. Yes. She looked down at the ground. Why now? Why are you saying this now? I didn't know you were still out there, he said. Until I saw you teaching my daughter. Zara took a deep breath. So all these weeks you've been watching me, but you didn't say anything. I was scared again, he admitted, but I can't run anymore. Zara folded her arms. What do you want from me? Alex shook his head. Nothing. I just want the truth. And if you'll let me, I want to do a DNA test. Zora didn't speak. She looked like she had been hit by a heavy wave. You don't have to say yes right now, Oe added. But if it's true, if I really am your father, I want to fix what I broke. Zora finally nodded. Okay. 2 days later, Alex arranged for a private test at a hospital in Ikoyi. He didn't tell anyone except a marker. He sent a car to pick Zora. She came quietly holding her plastic bag and wearing her same old slippers. She looked nervous but calm. They took the samples, blood, cheek swabs. The doctor said the results would take a few days. Zara didn't speak much on the drive back. Alex offered her food, but she refused. He understood. When they got back to the mansion, Pamela ran out to hug her. Where did you go? She asked. I had to help your dad with something. Zara replied with a weak smile. Don't go again. Please, Pamela said. I miss you when you're not here. Zora knelt and hugged her tightly. I'll stay. Oena watched the two girls and felt a tightness in his chest again. He had been living in a big house with high walls and expensive things. But this girl, this child, was carrying a heart full of pain and strength and maybe blood of his blood. At night, Alex sat on the bed again. A marker stood by the window, arms folded. How did it go? She asked. She agreed to the test. And how do you feel? Scared, he said, because you think it might be true, because I know it is. A marker turned slowly. You don't need a test to believe it. No, he said. I see it in her eyes. I hear it in her voice. I feel it in my soul. Amaka walked closer. And what happens if the result says yes? Alex looked up. Then I take full responsibility. And what happens to us? She asked quietly. Alex looked down. I don't know. Amaka took a deep breath. I'm not angry because you had a past. I'm angry because you never told me the truth. You let her suffer while we had more than enough. I know, he said, and I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to erase her, Amara said. I'm asking you to be honest from now on. No more secrets. Oe nodded. I promise. 2 days passed, then 3. On the 4th day, the call came. The doctor asked Alex to come in alone. He dressed in silence and drove himself. When he entered the office, the doctor stood up. The envelope sat on the table. Alex picked it up with shaky hands. He opened it slowly, then read. He didn't need to read twice. 99.98% match. Alex closed his eyes. She was his daughter. There was no doubt anymore. Tears filled his eyes, but he didn't let them fall. Not yet. He had one more thing to do. When he got home, he asked to speak with Zara privately. She was in the guest room now. They had given her a clean bed and a new set of clothes, but she still kept her old bag beside her, like a reminder of the life she had lived before. Alex sat on the edge of the bed. He handed her the paper. She read it slowly, then looked up. So, it's true. Yes, Alex said. You're my daughter. Zara didn't cry. She just sat there holding the paper tightly. I don't know what to feel, she whispered. You can feel anything, Chuka said. Anger, pain, joy. I won't judge you. Zora finally looked at him. Why didn't you come back for us? I was young and foolish, Alex said. I wanted success, So badly that I left everything behind, including you. Zora nodded. My mother cried a lot, but she never hated you. Alex's throat tightened. She was a better person than I'll ever be. Silence filled the room again. Alex took a breath. Zora, I want to make things right. I want you to live here, go to school, be with your sister, be part of this family. Zara looked at him carefully. And your wife? She knows everything now, he said. And she wants what's best for you, too. Zara folded the paper and placed it in her bag. I'll think about it. That's okay, Alex said softly. Take your time. He stood up and walked to the door. Before leaving, he turned back. One more thing, he said. Whether you live here or not, you'll never be alone again. Then he walked out. The evening breeze moved gently through the curtains of the mansion. But inside, the house was quiet and tense. Alex sat in his home office holding the DNA results again. He had read it 5 times already. The words were clear. No mistake. Zara was his daughter. His daughter had been living on the streets, hungry and alone, while he lived like a king in a mansion. He felt ashamed. His heart was heavy. He had been thinking all day about how to tell his family. He knew it was time, but saying it out loud still scared him. He looked up when the door opened. A marker stepped in, holding a tray with tea. She placed it gently on the table in front of him. You didn't eat lunch, she said softly. Alex shook his head. I couldn't. My chest is too tight. Is that the result? She asked, sitting across from him. Alex nodded. Yes. Amaka waited. Alex looked her in the eyes. She's mine. Amaka took a slow breath and nodded. I knew it. Even before the test, I could feel it. Alex leaned back in his chair. I failed her. Amaka. I failed both of them. Ada died thinking I didn't care. Zara grew up without a father because I chose money over love. Amaka reached across the table and touched his hand. You didn't know she survived. You didn't know Ada had the baby. I knew she was pregnant, he whispered. I just ignored it. Am I deserve forgiveness? Alex said. But I want to fix it. I want to do something good for once. She's just a child. Amaka said she needs love more than anything else. Alex nodded. But what about Pamela? How do we explain this to her? Amaka sighed. That's the hard part. Later that night, Alex knocked gently on Cam's bedroom door. Come in, she said. He walked in and saw her sitting on the bed brushing her doll's hair. Hi, Daddy. Hi, baby, he said. He sat at the edge of her bed. Can we talk? Pamela looked up. Is it about Zora? Alex smiled faintly. Yes, you really like her, don't you? Pamela nodded. She's my best friend. She's smart and kind. I wish she could live here with us. Alex looked at her gently. What if I told you she's more than just a friend? Pamela tilted her head. More. Alex took her hand. Zora is your sister. Pamela blinked. My sister? Yes, he said. A long time ago, before I met your mom, I knew someone named Ada. She was Zara's mother. Camp's mouth opened slightly. But why didn't you tell me? I didn't know, Alex said. I left her before she gave birth. I didn't stay in touch. I made a big mistake. I didn't know Zora even existed until recently. Pamela was quiet. She looked down at her doll. Obi gave her time. Finally, she looked up. So, we're the same. Alex nodded. Yes, you're both my daughters. That means you're sisters. Why was she living on the street? Pamela asked. Because life was hard for her and her mom, he said. And I wasn't there to help. Pamela looked at him. Can she stay with us forever? Alex's heart swelled. If she wants to, yes, then I'm happy, Pamela said with a smile. Alex pulled her close and hugged her tight. He closed his eyes and whispered, thank you. The next day, Alex asked Zora to sit with him in the living room. Amaka and Pamela were there too. Zara looked unsure as she sat on the couch. Cleared his throat. We've all been through a lot the past few days, but I want us to be a family. That starts with honesty. Zara nodded, eyes focused on her lap. Pamela knows now, Alex said. She knows who you are, and she's very happy about it. Pamela jumped up. You're my big sister. Zara looked up, surprised. Really? Yes. Pamela ran over and hugged her. I always wanted a sister, and I prayed for one, too. Zara slowly hugged her back. Tears welled up in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Oa's voice cracked a little. You don't have to go back to the street, Zora. Not ever again. Zara looked at him. Are you sure? Yes, he said. You have a home here now. You have a family. Amaka added, you can go to school with Pamela, eat with us, sleep in your own bed. This is your home too. Zara nodded slowly. It feels like a dream. It's real, Alex said, and I'll never leave you again. Over the next few days, things began to change. The guest room was turned into Zora's room. Amaka took her shopping and bought new clothes, shoes, and books. Pamela showed her how to use the remote to watch cartoons, and they giggled together late into the night. But Oe still felt nervous. He knew this was just the beginning. One evening, as he walked past Zora's room, he heard her voice. She was praying. He stopped and listened quietly. God, thank you for this family. Thank you for Pamela and Auntie Amaka, and thank you for my dad, even if it took him long to find me. Alex leaned against the wall. He wiped his eyes again. The next morning, a marker entered the kitchen and found Chuka cooking eggs. She raised her eyebrows. You're cooking. He smiled, trying to do something useful. Amaka laughed. Well, this is a surprise. He turned and faced her. I want to do more. I want to be present, not just provide things. I want to show them I care. Amaka stepped closer. You're doing that already. Amara, he said seriously, I'll never be able to thank you enough for standing by me, for accepting Zora. She's a child, Amaka said. She didn't ask for any of this, and she deserves love. Aklex nodded. I don't deserve you. Amaka smiled. No, you don't. But you're lucky. I love you anyway. They laughed quietly. That night, the family sat together in the living room for the first time. Alex sat on the couch with Zara on his left and Pamela on his right. Amaka brought popcorn, and they all watched a movie together. At one point, Pamela rested her head on Alex's shoulder. Zora looked at him carefully, then leaned her head on his other shoulder. Alex stayed still, afraid to move. His chest was full of emotion. 2 daughters, both resting on him, and for the first time in a very long time, he felt like a father, a real one. For the first time in weeks, laughter filled the mansion. Zora was starting to smile more. Kamzi was always beside her like they had been born as twins. They shared clothes, books, and stories. They even whispered secrets in the dark, giggling late into the night. Amaka watched them from the doorway sometimes. She would smile, but it wasn't always a full smile. It was soft, tight, quiet. She had welcomed Zara, she had shown love, she had even helped clean her up and pick her new school bag. But deep inside, something small and painful was growing. She didn't want it. She tried to push it away, but it was there. One afternoon, a marker sat alone in her bedroom, folding laundry, camps, pink dresses, Zora's new jeans, Alex's shirts. She picked up a white shirt, the one Chuka wore the day he confessed everything. Her hand stopped moving. Her eyes stared at the fabric. And suddenly, a tear dropped onto the cloth. She didn't even feel it coming. Then another and another. She dropped the shirt and covered her mouth, but the sob escaped anyway. It had been building inside her since the DNA result. Since the night she agreed to let Zora stay, since she saw her husband holding the child of another woman, she wasn't angry at Zora. She wasn't angry at Ada either. She was angry at the man who had broken a promise to her. That evening, Alex entered the bedroom and found her sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. He paused at the door. A marker. She didn't answer. He walked in slowly and sat beside her. What's wrong? She wiped her face. Nothing. He looked at her gently. Please don't say that. I know you. She stayed quiet. You've been quiet since the movie night. I'm fine, she said again. You're not. Silence. Alex sighed. Is it about Zora? Amaka stood up. No, it's about you. He looked up. You hid her from me, Alex. You hid the letters, the truth, everything. I didn't know she was alive. That's not the point. A marker snapped. You never told me about Ada. You made me believe she was just someone from school. You never said you left a girl behind who was carrying your child. Alex stood too. I was ashamed. You should be. A marker's voice cracked. She died alone, Alex alone, and her child was begging on the street while you were flying first class. Alex's mouth opened, but no words came. Amarka shook her head. I stood by you through everything. I gave you my heart, my youth, my life, and now I have to watch my husband cry for another woman's child. She's not just another woman's child, Chuka said, his voice low. She's mine. And what about me? Air asked. Where do I fit into this new family? Oe stepped closer. You are my wife. I feel like a stranger in my own home, she whispered. Alex reached for her hand. Please don't say that. Amarka pulled away. I need space. The next day, Amaka didn't come down for breakfast. Pamela noticed first. Where's Mommy? She asked. Chuka forced a smile. She's just resting. Zara lowered her spoon. Did I do something wrong? No, Alex said quickly. This is not your fault. Zara nodded slowly, but her eyes stayed on her food. After breakfast, Alex climbed the stairs quietly and knocked on the bedroom door. No answer. He knocked again. A marker, please? The door opened slowly. She stood there, eyes puffy. She had clearly been crying again. Can we talk? He asked. She stepped aside. He walked in. I don't want to fight, he said. Then stop making me feel like I don't belong here anymore. Alex sat on the bed. That's not true. It is, Amaka said. Every time I walk into a room now, I feel like I'm standing in the past. Your past. I'm trying to build the future, he said. With who? Me or her? Alex stood. She's a child. She didn't ask for this. I know, Amaka said, and I care about her, but I also have the right to be hurt. Alex nodded. You do. I gave you everything, oh Ben, and now I feel like second place. You're not, he said quickly. You're my wife, my partner, my everything. Then prove it. How? A marker wiped her face. Don't just fix things with Zora. Fix us too. Alex nodded slowly. I will, I promise. Meanwhile, downstairs, Pamela and Zora sat on the floor drawing. Do you think our parents are fighting? Zara asked. Pamela looked up. They are just talking. But what if she wants me to go? She doesn't, Pamela said quickly. She loves you. She doesn't show it. She's just confused. Pamela said, Mommy needs time. Zora looked down. Maybe I should leave. No, Pamela shouted. You're not going anywhere. Zara blinked. You're my sister now, Pamela said. You belong here. Zara smiled softly. That evening, a marker called Zora to the kitchen. The girl came in slowly, unsure. Sit, Amaka said. Zora sat at the table, hands in her lap. Amaka placed a plate of jollof rice and plantain in front of her. I cooked this for you. Zara looked up, surprised. Really? Yes, Amaka said. I want us to talk. Zora nodded. I'm sorry if I've been cold, Am said. I was shocked, hurt, but that's not your fault. I understand, Zora said. You don't have to pretend. I'm not pretending. Am said, I just needed time. But you're a good girl, and I can see that. You've brought happiness to Pamela and even to your father. Zaya wiped a tear. Thank you. Amaka smiled. You deserve love, Zara, and from now on, I'll try my best to give it. Zara stood and hugged her. Amaka held her tight. Later that night, Chuka walked into the living room and saw Amaka sitting with the girls. They were playing a board game. He stopped at the door and watched them laugh. Zora looked up and smiled at him. He smiled back. Amaka smiled, too. For the first time in days, the house felt whole again. The dining table had never looked this beautiful before. White tablecloth, golden plates, soft lights above. The whole mansion had been cleaned and decorated like there was a party coming. And there was not a birthday, not a business dinner. This one was different. Alex stood at the edge of the living room, watching the staff move around quietly, placing dishes on the long table. Grilled chicken, fried rice, moi moi, scented candles, glasses lined up neatly. Everything looked perfect, but it wasn't for the food. Tonight, it was for family, real family. Earlier that morning, Alex had walked into the kitchen and told a marker, I want us to have a family dinner tonight, just the four of us. No guests, no phones, just us. Amaka raised her brow. For what? I want to say a few things out loud, not in private, in front of everyone. Amaka paused, then nodded. Okay, I'll handle it. Thank you, Alex said. By 700 p.m., everything was ready. Amaka wore a soft blue gown and had her hair tied up. She looked calm and strong. Pamela wore her favorite pink dress, skipping into the dining room with excitement. I'm so hungry. Zora walked in behind her wearing a green gown a marker had picked for her. Her hair had been made into neat cornrows that morning. She looked unsure, like she wasn't used to this kind of attention. Alex stood as they all sat down. He looked at his wife, then at his daughters. He cleared his throat. There's something I want to say before we eat. The room went quiet. Alex turned to Zara. I know I've said this before, but tonight I want to say it again properly. Zara looked up slowly. I'm sorry, Alex said, for everything. For the years you lived without me. For the nights you cried alone. For the meals you skipped. For all the pain. Zara's eyes filled with tears. Alex turned to Pamela. I'm sorry to you too, Pamela, for keeping a part of your life hidden, for not being the kind of father who tells the full truth. Pamela nodded slowly, overfaced a marker. His voice shook a little. And to you, the woman who stood by me even when I didn't deserve it, I owe you everything. Amarker's eyes glistened. You didn't sign up for this, he said, but you chose to love through it. I will never forget that. Silence filled the room. Then Chuka stood up, slowly walked over to Zara, and knelt in front of her. Everyone gasped. Even the staff at the corner paused. Alex placed his hand on her shoulder. I wasn't there when you were born. I wasn't there on your first day of school. I wasn't there when your mom died, but I'm here now, and I will never leave again. I promise. Zara tried to speak, but she couldn't. Alex reached into his pocket and brought out a small box. Inside was a gold necklace. Not expensive, not flashy, but simple. And on it, a small pendant, shaped like a star. He opened it and said, This belonged to my mother. She gave it to me when I was young. I kept it all these years. I want you to have it now. He gently placed it around her neck. Zora looked down at it, then back at him. Her lips trembled. Thank you. Alex hugged her tightly. Pamela stood up and joined the hug. Group hug. Everyone laughed through tears. Even Amaka stood and placed her arms around them all. In that moment, the past, the pain, and the silence melted away. After dinner, they all sat on the couch. The mood was light. Pamela was telling jokes that didn't even make sense, but everyone laughed anyway. Alex held Amarker's hand. I've been thinking. About what? She asked. I want to set up a scholarship fund. For who? For girls like Zara. Girls who lost their way because of people like me. Amaka looked at him with respect. That's a good idea. I want to name it after Ada. Amaka nodded slowly. She deserves that. Alex turned to Zora. You'll be the first student. Zara's eyes widened. Me? Yes. We'll get you into the best school. Whatever dream you have, we'll chase it together. Zora looked at Pamela. Pamela grinned. You're stuck with us now. They all laughed again. That night, Alex stood alone in the garden. He looked up at the stars. One star shined brighter than the others. He smiled. Ada, he whispered, I found her. I found our child. I will never let her go again. A soft breeze brushed across his face like a reply.